What's happening? What's good, dough? It's your boy Idrith, and today we have an amazing episode with none other than Stephanie Swane from Modernist Cuisine. Woo! This person just emulates Pete's community, right? And if you didn't know, she's an amazing pizza maker, but we talk a lot about Modernist Cuisine and her work there. And for those of you who don't know what that is, Modernist Cuisine is the organization responsible for creating modernist pizza, the book of all books on pizza. We talk about if the company is profitable, we talk about the research that went into it, we talk about Stephanie's travels and all of the great things she's learned about pizza. We talk about, of course, women in pizza. The work that she does there is amazing. Doing live interviews with women, empowering the women pizza community, and so much more. This is an amazing episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And if you want to watch it on YouTube and see me and Stephanie go back and forth, make sure to check that out. And remember to always ask, what's good, dough?
What is, in your eye, like what is a foul way to serve pizza?
I feel like with scissors.
You don't like the scissors? Oh, so if they don't cut the pizza,
Exactly.
you don't like it when they don't cut
Give you the scissors. It's like, come on.
Too pretentious?
Just lazy, yes.
this guy. And I think we were supposed to get 2 ranches. 2 ranches over
Yes,
here?
please, thank you.
We're not sharing.
No, I don't want to double dip.
Oh, there it is. Woo! Got it. We got it. It came with the second pie.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much.
Everyone's got their own now.
All right.
All right, Edric, I'm going to get a picture of you too with the pizzas. Nice.
Maybe I'm just being nitpicky.
That's
but
you.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it.
No, I don't think there's a wrong way to serve pizza. It's more about the pizza. So I like when there's a tray insert, depending on the type of pie.
Yeah.
I'm not judging because they got a screen on it. They probably did a little just so that they don't screw up the bottom of their pans.
I think this is pretty elevated. When
It's a lot nicer than normal pizza,
Yeah.
style-wise.
All right.
Emmy Square, they do their pies like this too. They put them in the on the racks, if I remember.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I think this is a good way to serve it.
For Detroit.
It shows the edge. You know?
Yeah.
It's not stuck
well,
in
it
a
just
pan.
kind of gives you a ta-da!
Yeah.
It is. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Well done. All right.
But I don't see very many people serve on a.
A disc. Or
Yeah.
perforated disc.
Yeah.
Well seasoned.
All right. So, what's the first thing you look for in your round pie?
What's the first thing I look for in my round pie?
Yep.
I look at texture and color now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dough first or everything? All over?
All over. Because
Cheese melt?
I think it just has to. I think cohesivity
Yeah.
is such a broad umbrella term. If it's if it's not cohesive, it might be too much or too little. It's not balanced. I think if it's cohesive, it holds up.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
balance of the bake, yeah.
Yeah.
From the toppings to the cheese to the
So maybe a
dough.
better word is balance.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. Well, I always like to see the way they build it. So you can tell what was put on during bake, what they might have probably did beforehand. They probably already roasted some of the vegetables, the mushrooms, before they put them on. So you can kind of look and see okay, this is stuff that they put together beforehand, and then what they put on top of the pizza for the bake, and then what did they finish it with? What would I finish it with?
Yes. So what was this finish? Do you think these ramps were put on post-bake?
So they're pretty charred.
They are.
and they're not under the cheese. So, like, for me, if I had something so fragile and also very expensive as a ramp, I would probably put it on underneath.
To preserve it a bit.
Just to preserve the integrity of it. Or I would shred it really, really fine and throw it on completely raw. Like a green onion.
Yeah, but that's going to overpower the pizza. It's really, really strong.
But if you put it really, really small, fine shreds. But it's like basil.
Yeah.
You know, basil.
You also want to show it off. You don't want it underneath everything. It's
But,
like, that's a highlight.
You know what people are doing?
Some people do like want to see everything.
They're doing the like they'll put it on like for the last minute or two, flash it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you. Try this black garlic ranch.
Yeah, totally like flash fire it.
Just to get it warm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they did.
It looks
Some of it's a little charred.
Crispy.
A little too charred.
Yeah.
So now it's got like a chew. But
I'm no ramps specialist. I don't even think I like seek it out because I'm not very. I'm not a seasonal type guy. I like. I grew up on pepperoni and just kind of stuck with that my whole life. But when you were like, you seem to know a lot about it. You said it was an expensive ingredient.
Because it's only available for like a really short time.
What's the season like? Do you know?
A few weeks, right?
Okay.
so you find it more like North Carolina. It likes to grow under trees. Basically it's a wild onion, is what ramps are. So they grow underneath big trees in kind of like a wet microclimate. So they die really fast.
Oh.
So it's kind of like mushrooms, where you can get them and you go to the same space every year and the ramps will be there growing. So you can get, like, if you know where there's a ramp, that's what I was trying to figure out with her.
Are there ramp gatekeepers?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And they're usually, like, in New York when I was there a few weeks ago, so it was like April, maybe a month ago, that was kind of when that season was. So I was surprised to see them this late, but we've also kind of had a cooler spring. But you have to forage them. Like, you can't grow them somewhere in like a farm, like whatever. They have to be in like under a tree, like in a like wild mushrooms. They're the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Really short growing season. I think in New York I was paying like $8 for a bundle, and the bundle was like this big. They're expensive.
Whoa.
Yeah.
$8?
So it was like 8 or 10 sticks for $8. I have a picture of seeing them at the market.
I'll probably Google it afterwards, but if you have it easily available, show me.
Yeah. So they come just like wild spring onions, but they're kind of a cross between garlic and an onion. So they have that kind of effervescent
It's also
taste.
like bitter, but not like too bitter.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's interesting because they're only using the greens, and you can also use the white part, just like a green onion, like a chive. I make pesto out of them.
Okay.
Because you can use the whole onion. They're expensive, so I want to preserve it.
Yeah.
And I also want to be able to have them for a little while longer than when the season's available.
Fair. Do you pickle them too?
So I haven't pickled them. I pickled fiddleheads. I haven't pickled these because living here, we don't get them. Like, I basically, if I travel somewhere, I've only seen them at this one guy's place here in Seattle ever. And so it's usually when I'm traveling to the East Coast during like the April to May time, I'll buy them.
On the positive note of this pizza, there's some good seasoning, some good creaminess. You said that there was a little bit of darkness on the ramp itself, but like, what do you think about this crust?
That's what I was just. I mean, It's got a little bit of char to it, wood fire.
So they
Definitely.
They know the wood fire
Yeah. They're supposed to. They did. But I know a lot of wood fires have been changing out their ovens too. But their wood fire, it says it on their menu.
Yeah, I see a flue.
And it looks like wood fire. The way that the char is on the bottom.
Yeah. This is
tight.
It's tight. Yeah, I'd say that too. I'm wondering if they're using any special flours or if this is like one type of flour just cooked really well done. You know?
I think you can ask her. I think they're using Karen Springs here, which is just up the road.
Okay.
Which is a local flour, really good. I love it. I use it a lot.
Yeah.
Is that part of the weekend?
I know a lot of people, and I mean, maybe they'll tell us, this tastes like a bread flour more than like a 00. That's why I'm thinking it's probably Karen Springs, and they're probably using the bread flour.
Very interesting.
So,
I'm sure you've eaten a lot of pizza in your day. One more question on the ramps. Have you seen it done well on a pizza? And if so, how?
So I've seen it basically taking the entire ramp and Grilliam Sharon actually does it for bread alone. They pre-roast them in like kind of like we would do like a broccolini or something, broccoli rabe. Just like roasted on the fire with like olive oil, so that it has kind of that roasted look. And then slice them up, and then you add them as a under the cheese or a post bake. So you get that roasted, but you get the whole onion, not just the leaves.
And is the flavor really strong?
No, that's the beauty of grilling them with the olive oil and like maybe a little bit of like pepper or something, however you want to do it. I mean, you could do it like like I do a chili oil with it.
Ooh.
So you get kind of that spiciness with the garlicky taste, which is really yummy. So you could go that route, but I feel like I hope they're not wasting all that ramp.
I'd probably use something else.
Maybe. Yeah. We can always ask. I
Yeah.
feel like our server has been very good to us about
Yeah,
trying to talk us through.
just straight up. I mean, I see. So I am thinking, I haven't tasted them yet.
Yeah.
Those are the little potatoes. So I love that they did that because they're super thin and crispy. I kind of wish that they would do that with like the really light they've shaved pieces of the white part of the ramp. I like the crust so rest.
You eat your crust first. Like, oh,
Uh-huh.
the crust is gone.
That's a good compliment in a relationship right there.
Works out well.
Well, I strongly feel that if the crust isn't good, then the pizza's not really that good.
Which is pretty much par for the course.
So, like, I love to see the balance of the pizza and the dough first before I try the combination of all the things.
Oh, I know. I see that.
And try the structure, like look at the structure, smell the kind of tasty notes of flour.
You do this every time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. That's a commitment.
Yeah.
So what do you see?
That's why I'm like, it's definitely bread flour. Like I said, it's really tight. Definitely no oil in this. Straight up, just like I don't think they're doing a sourdough. I would say probably not. I don't taste it. Do you taste? I don't taste any like extra. Yeah. So I'd say it's probably just like coulis or something. I don't think this is a high hydration. I'd say it's probably like a medium, like 60s, 65%, like a regular round. Like I feel like this, well, it's a wood fire is like trying to be in New York. We would call it kind of artisan style.
It's not like
Because it's wood fire.
Yeah. American wood-fired bread flour. I would say around the 65 to 66% hydration and maybe 2% salt.
Yeah.
2.5 if we're being generous. But that should be a game among pizza makers. To have like the most respectful guess at somebody's.
I feel like this is just like the straight, like normal pizza that if someone came in and wanted just like pizza nowadays, like not like 10 years ago, this is what people would expect.
I think where they elevate is like their use of seasonal ingredients and the types of cheeses that they use. I will say the dough, like the crust, wasn't my favorite.
The cheese.
That's a good way. I think either like some more acid or some more salt.
I think it definitely needs more salt.
it's a little puffier.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like
Layman's terms. Like Neapolitan.
that's a whole different dough.
Well, regardless.
It's softer. But this is like, it definitely needs salt. That's where I'm like, it's definitely bread flour, which usually means that you should have a little bit more salt in it. They wake up with the salt with the cheeses. So this is like, I think the cheese combo and the amount of cheese blend that they're doing is pretty amazing.
I think so too. That was very impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like the most expensive thing on the menu is on your pizza is the cheese.
Absolutely. Roll the baccio cheese out. No, just kidding. Well, that begs the question: how do you know so much about pizza? Aside from being someone who likes food, I think that's how you described yourself earlier.
I do like food. So I'm the publisher, editorial director for Modernist Cuisine, and a few years ago, 3 years ago almost now, hard to believe, we published a book called Modernist Pizza. It's a 3-volume set. I think it taps out at like 1,800 pages, somewhere around there, about pizza history, ingredients, techniques, recipes. And for about 7 or 8 years, I researched pizza, all of the aspects of pizza with a team. I traveled all over the world, eating pizza, talking about pizza, talking to the maker of pizza about what they saw in their pizza, taking apart pizza, meeting amazing people in the community that had some kind of thing in the pizza industry, whether it was the tomato producer or the cheese producer or the oven maker, like all of that. Dedicated a lot of time to enjoying and then also making pizza. So finding my path of enjoying to produce it too.
Do you find it's hard to speak from knowledge and theory and not be as strong on the practice and practicum side of things?
So I'm not a chef, so I don't have a culinary background.
But you still know a lot.
So I thank you, but I've never worked in a restaurant the way a lot of other pizza makers have. I've worked in restaurants before. Most of the time was front of house instead of back of the house. I was a bartender for a really long time. So I know food and I've studied food, especially from a cooking standpoint, and like the dynamics of food. But I haven't spent a whole day making pizzas behind the counter, dealing with customers, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like I went to Tokyo, I went to Sarankan, and I think it's Sarah Khan. Yeah, so he makes two kinds of pizzas. He makes a marinara and a margarita. He's the only person at the oven every day. He's open for lunch and for dinner, and he makes two pizzas, and that's it. And he's been doing that for, I think he said, like over 50 years. Like a very long time. That person knows so much more about pizza than I will, because they're actually doing it over and over again. They're perfecting the skill, and they're looking at the like very minor changes between the dough and how it's reacting in the environment and the bake and like all that. That to me is amazing. And that's what I love about pizza. There are people that are continuing on the journey, which I feel like I am, and I'm sure you feel that way too. It's like every day is like a new pizza. Every day is like I learned this about what else I can do for my pizza. Not necessarily over and over and over again, but it's still like interesting to see what shape and form people take. Did that answer your question?
It does.
I also feel like you are very good at skirting the line, because you don't pretend to be something that you're not. There's a lot of people out there that pretend to be pizza makers. Like you have a lot of good friends who make pizza, and we make pizza together, but at the same time, you just are deferring to them, and like your friends who make pizza, and you're there and hanging out.
Yeah, I like to support the community.
You're not pretending to be, like,
No, I'm not in the trenches.
Yeah. I think it's really cool.
But I do like all of the aspects. So it's like not just the pizza making and like the history of it and like how the ingredients come to be, from an agricultural standpoint.
The entire industry.
Yeah.
We were overlooked for so long, and now it's coming to the forefront. Oh, you're just a pizza guy? Oh, you're not really, like, no, you don't really. It's like, let's make all these things. It's like it's a universal language.
There's room for everyone, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're the person who studies it or the person who makes it, I think when we live in a world that's so collaborative, that's how we like are able to grow.
Totally.
And
Also, I think it took COVID to show people that maybe the world needs pizza, because it's the easiest thing in the world to make and to transport and like get to everybody else.
It's not the easiest thing to make,
Well,
but it is consumable and also something that you can. People already knew what delivery and takeout of pizza was before COVID, where there were so many other things that people weren't used to having delivery or takeout
You've got
for.
like really bad delivery food from like wherever, and it's terrible, and you pay a bunch of money for it. How can you get a bad pizza delivered?
I think people who open up these joints right here are smart to have one pizza that is good in-house and one pizza that does well in delivery.
Totally.
You make yourself bulletproof, right?
And also
You improve your chances.
one that they probably par baked.
Yeah.
And this one they have to bake per order.
Mm-hmm.
So they can balance out the one that's almost, they just have to finish it basically.
You might be able to argue that these both take the same amount of time, even though this is thick and
Exactly.
just had a little bit more prep. We should probably dig into this one. But I will say,
It looks good.
yeah, like we need to do the same sort of inspection, right?
Yep.
And then I'll ask you my next question. But please, go for it.
I'm gonna go for the, well, I
I'm gonna go
love
for the
also
corner.
that they did all corners. 'Cause
Yeah.
Of course.
it's a 4-corner deal.
You know what? I am impartial to corners.
Do you like the middles?
I like sides, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah? And,
I don't need too much crust.
okay. I would say I eat a lot of crust, but I think for Detroit sometimes it's a little too much.
Yeah.
I can already see
The
that
edge.
because this one's on a darker bake, heavier on the cheese.
Cut this in half and take like that.
You can do that, yeah. Let's see what we got here.
So I also, like, it depends on the tomato,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not really a huge, like, sauce person. which is one of the things that I really love about a Detroit. And even a Sicilian, like Sicilian's usually a really light layer of sauce. And like, I don't want to say traditional because that's not like really accurate either. But like, I like light sauce, and I feel like that's the nice thing with Detroit, because you usually are lighter on the sauce. Maybe sauce on the top,
Racing stripes.
but I feel like you have a less likelihood of getting a gummy.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna look and see what this. Yeah, it's definitely par baked. Yeah.
So.
Which is smart.
Yes. Right. You can do a very excellent direct bake pizza. It's going to take you a really long time.
Yeah.
And you run the risk of that gum. But.
Oh, you can just tell. Like you can see the layer of dough separating specifically from the layer of cheese and all the other toppings.
Okay.
And it has a nice level of browning on the top, so you know it's perfect. But a lot of times you can naturally see the pull from the top to the bottom. But it also, I feel like for the Detroit too, to get a pretty good edge, it's really hard to do if you don't par bake.
Sure. Definitely.
With the cheese,
yes.
You know?
Yeah.
No, you just, to get this to brown like that, and then the crust to cook properly, thoroughly, you're like battling two things.
It starts to get really dark and you get that burnt taste.
Really black.
And then raw in the middle.
Yeah.
Also with a par bake, the par bake shell shrinks inward a little bit, and so the cheese has room to go all the way down.
Yeah. You get that pull away from the edge of the pan and the cheese.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was in this one again? Asparagus?
I know, it tastes, I have like a lemon pesto-y. I know it's a pesto.
Salsa verde.
Oh, okay.
But it has a little citrus note to it.
One of the things pizza makers spend the most money on is cheese. Every time I have a catering event, cheese is my biggest ingredient cost. But what if I told you there's a cheese company out there that lets you earn cash back for every pound of cheese purchased? I'm talking about Baccio Cheese. And their Gold Club Rewards members receive their rewards card every month that can be used wherever Visa is accepted. So the more cheese you buy, the more you can earn. Literally, you get paid to use Baccio Cheese. Now that is cool. Learn more at Baccio Cheese using the link in the show notes. Let's talk about pan pizzas for a quick second. What are you using to press out your dough? I found out that whatever fat you use greatly affects the flavor of your pizza. And that is why the only brand I trust with my pizza is Cordo olive oil. Taste is everything, and other brands and other fats pale in comparison. Do you want to taste the difference? Go to cordo-olive.com using the link in the show notes. You can purchase a bottle there, or if you're an operator, you can get a free tasting. Just message me and I'll connect you with them. I'll leave my contact in the show notes. Thank you, Cordo Olive Oil, for sponsoring the podcast.
I think the flavors are fantastic on both of these.
The combos are really good.
Yeah.
And again, the cheese. Like, that's one thing that I love about Laura, is like, Laura and actually Leah, they really love good cheese. Like, to expand your knowledge in cheese, that's what I love too, is like, you don't have to just do mozzarella.
No.
Like, there's so many, like, there's a rainbow of flavors for cheese, from smokiness to more pungent, like blues, to like, you know, the softness of a goat cheese.
Yeah.
Like, I love exploring like how a cheese texture can really help, and the combinations of cheeses, how well they work together.
Yeah, you know what? I'm guilty of just staying, again, keeping it simple with mozzarella. But you've opened up my mind a little bit to being a little bit more adventurous with the cheese. I want to have a blue cheese pizza that tastes great.
Yeah, I do a blue cheese all the time.
Yeah.
But I do like, I mean, you have to be sparingly of it.
Yeah.
Even though I love blue cheese, I know that it's like, I don't want it to overpower.
Right.
So I want to have something like I'll probably still do some kind of mozzarella, maybe it's a pizza cheese blend, or maybe I'll do it with like a really milky, creamy cheese too, to like give that softness to the blue cheese or the more stringent, pungent cheese. But yeah, it's just like it's the balance.
So going back to modernist pizza,
Yep.
or just mod cuisine in general,
Yeah.
how does one be so lucky to have a job like that?
So I have to tell you, I love my job. I love everything about my job. If anyone ever asks me, I'm just like, I feel like I have the best job in the world. Not only just from like what I get to do, but like where I go, what I see, what I get to eat. Like, it's pretty cool. But I've been in publishing for almost 30 years now on the book side. And so it just, I mean, it is a dream. Like to be able to be in the research side for bread, like that was the book. That's the book that I started on, was Modernist Bread, when I started 10 years ago at Modernist Cuisine. And you know, I've continued through the carb world into pizza, and we just did a book on bread at home that came out like a couple months ago. We're working on pastry now.
And you're working on that?
Right. That's what we're working on exclusively now. It's really cool to work for someone, Nathan Mervold, who I work for, who's the founder of Modernist Cuisine, that really has a passion and a vision, and also really wants to be an innovative and in some ways a disruptor. Like when we went,
I like that.
Like when we first started working on, when we announced we were doing Modernist Bread, people were like, what's so modernist about bread? And we were like, well, you know, if you look at dough, like dough is so creative and innovative, and the things that were happening, like if you go way back, because that came out in 2017, you know, that was kind of the cutting edge of tartine and having these like really wet doughs, really high hydration, like pushing the envelope to like 110%. And mixing with a whole bunch of different kinds of flours and grains, and working with mills, like that wasn't happening 10 years ago. And it's like kind of filtered into pizza too. It's like, then when we were like, we're doing pizza, they were like, whoa, like what? Like pizza, like that's such a common food. And we were like, it's such a common food, but it's such a complex food. And it's not just like, we've talked about bread in Modernist Bread, but now we're not only talking about the dough, but we're talking about all the things that go on top. And pizza, the cool thing with pizza is the name of pizza is the same in any place you ever go around the world. It's the only food that you can actually order anywhere around the world and get what you think is a pizza.
That's really cool.
So that's like, it opened up so many global opportunities for us to think about like, what was pizza like in this place? And then like I had the opportunity to go to a lot of those places and see like the flavor combinations that were unique to that particular country. And you know, it's all about palate and taste. So not to say one was bad or better, but it was just interesting to see how these like certain countries really like gravitated to different things. Which is cool.
What I liked about modernist pizza was that it like debunked a lot of things, which to me, that makes it modern because we've gotten rid of all the antiquated ideas.
Yeah.
In your eyes, what was the biggest impact that specifically modernist pizza had on the pizza industry as a whole?
I think that, like I mentioned, innovation and creativity. I feel like everyone kind of saw like there's a world of styles, and you don't have to commit to that style in the way that you thought you had to. Like you can make a fermented tomato sauce and still call that a Neapolitan pizza because it's the way that you're baking the dough and the way that you're baking the dough leads to calling it a Neapolitan pizza. But you could also take that Neapolitan dough, put it in a pan, and make it into a Detroit. So it opened the opportunity for people to look at, it doesn't necessarily have to have all these parameters, I think. Also, like with the debunking side, debunking water. Like, you don't have to just have New York water to make bagels, which we talked about in Modernist bread. Like, it's this. Like, I love John Arena. Like, it's all about the pizza maker. That's where you're going to get the really good pizza, because they care about it. And that was one of the things, like, when we were traveling, we would go to pizzerias that were old school or had been around for a while, and we would see, like, there wasn't a pizza maker that was, like, behind the name behind the pizza. Whether it didn't have to be the face, that they were like, this is my pizza. If there wasn't that person saying, this is my pizza, the pizza usually wasn't very good. Because you don't have that person that's, like, every day, like Dan Richer, for example, because I love Dan. Like, he has a huge, like, employee log that he looks at every day. Every time the pizzas come out, someone's checking the bottom of every pizza that comes out of the oven before it goes out to a customer.
Wow.
Like, just putting those extra steps, and like Scotty in Portland at Scotty's Pizza Parlor, like, they have a really interesting way of reheating a pizza slice, which no one else does, and they might now, but like, it's taking those extra steps to make sure, even when you get a reheated slice, especially from living in New York for a while, it would just be like, throw it in the deck oven on a thing, boom, you wait like a minute and a half, they pull the pizza out, it goes on a paper plate, you're out.
What is it now?
Like, but Scotty's is like, it's sitting on a pizza screen. Like, it goes in on a screen and comes back out, so it's never going to dry out, because they're doing that extra level of, like, it's not going to get scorched on the bottom, it's going to give it nicer coloring, it's going to go in like a high heat and a low heat combo. So, like, it's taking that thought process and really thinking, wait, okay, here are all the things that I know make a really good end product, and doing it. Which I feel like not too long ago, pizza makers are just like, I'm making pizza, I'm gonna get it out, I'm gonna use cheap, I gotta make the most for my money, so I'm gonna make cheap ingredients, I'm not gonna think about the quality, the color, all of those things. Where now I feel like everyone's looking at all of the things about the pizza, and it's awesome. I mean, even like California cheese contest, that's only been going on for, I think not even 10 years. Because, again, it's a great way for them to think about all the amazing California producers for cheese, and then get people like you and me to come up with these insane concoctions like Leah or like Chris Decker, and really think about like what's actually going to be like the highlight of cheese on a pizza.
I think I need to adjust my entry then.
Not necessarily.
We'll see.
I mean, I like a plain cheese pizza too, but if I'm going to have a plain cheese pizza, everything needs to be on point.
Right.
Like good dough.
Like the folks over at Dana Point.
Yes, truly.
Yes.
Or I would say I love Truly. Chris is doing an amazing job, and then also Mike at 00 in Las Vegas.
I've had Adriana's Pizza at the Pizza Fest, but
yeah,
they're cooking on an uni.
Yeah,
you really have to go.
It's different.
It is different, right?
And and especially if you like dips, they have a Trinity with and 3 homemade sauces: red, green, and white. One's like a ranch ripoff. One's like a Calabrian chili, and then one's like a pesto-y. Oh my God, they're so good. I love me some dips.
That's the Livermore in you speaking. I'm just kidding.
It is. It's California.
All right. One more question about Modernist cuisine that I want to ask, but I'm sure you all get all the things in the world, and that's enough reason to do it. Are you all actually making money from this thing, or is this just purely for the love of research? Because you have to sell a lot of, and I have no idea. right? This is just random curiosity.
Huh?
But I feel like the effort that you put into these like tombs, I just can't imagine how much you spend, and I can't imagine enough people like financially support
Buying
that.
them?
Yes.
So, that's one of the reasons why our prices are so high.
I get that.
You know, I mean, the book production alone is high cost value. I actually work on the production of the slipcase, the stainless steel. So I have like created that stainless steel slipcase, and that alone is expensive. Then you have to look at, you know, binding 3 books. We do all high art paper, high GSM based on other papers.
It is quality.
Like, we don't skimp on quality at all. We really make sure that what you're getting is going to be a beautiful end product. Not only because we really pride ourselves on the photography side.
Beautiful.
So we want to make sure that our photos are really grasping all the color on the paper. So production's high. Then you have to think, okay, team-wise, I think for pizza, if we looked at everything, we were working like 5 years on the book times 20 people on our team. And we're all employees. So, you know,
a lot of
it
money.
takes time.
Time, resources.
It takes time, resources, research. And I think that's why I said like Nathan's a visionary, because Nathan really wants to not only do the research, but he wants to share that research with anyone that wants to learn. So we don't hide behind any products. Like, we're an equal opportunist. We don't say one thing is better than another as far as like we're not paid. You know, like a lot of larger companies are, you know, they're backed by X, so they have to say that's the best. We level the playing field and we test everything and everything. So it takes time. But yeah, I mean, it's a labor of love. And if we didn't keep making books, that's what Nathan always says, we would be like making tons of money. But like every time we close a project, it basically fuels us to start a new project. And that's kind of the excitement of what we do.
I love it. If the goal is only to produce quality, then you're doing it. And like, I think...
And educate. Like, I mean, that's like, we want...
Sorry,
like Modernist Cuisine came out in 2010. We're continuously reprinting that book. It continuously is making money because it's, you know, published in 2010. But it's crazy to think that a $625 book is continuing to sell and reprint every couple years, which I think is beautiful, because it means that what I love about what we do is we're always finding new customers, whether it is someone that's just getting into pizza and they're like, I want a Bible that gives me everything I need to know about pizza, or it's someone that just got an oven and they're like, I don't know anything about pizza, I'm going to start from scratch, or it's someone that's just interested in science, or someone that's really interested in history. Like, there's so many facets that people can discover with our books that makes it, you know, like it's an ever-rotating thing.
That's really beautiful, and congratulations on all that success.
Thank you. We have an amazing team.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the wonderful thing, is like it's collaborative, just like the pizza industry. You know, we're there. Everyone has an amazing background in different things, and we work together to make the best thing that we can. And really focusing on whatever vision Nathan has all the way through to the end.
Speaking of collaboration in the industry, you're a very collaborative individual with women pizza makers. I'm pretty sure, you know, it goes without saying that it's a job that we all should be doing, but like, why is it so near and dear to your heart?
So,
and a job, I'm saying like uplifting.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So it was interesting when we were working on Modernist Pizza. and I was researching all of these places, and every time we'd go to a new city, I would notice that like we'd compile all these lists. I have like grids of every city and like pizza makers and like places and whatever, and I would always see like names of men. And every time I would pull together like the best whatever, fill in the blank. All the lists would be guys, pizzerias. Rarely would I see a woman's name pop up. And if it was usually mentioned as like the wife of.
Or the student of.
Not even that.
Not even that.
No, it was like the wife of.
Oh wow.
And never like crediting the wife of as like the owner. It would be like,
or even mentioning her name.
Or even mentioning her name sometimes too. And so I continued to see this, and I was like, this is like really crazy. Like I saw it in bakery where like with bread, that most of the men that were being featured all the time were related in the bread world. And then I saw even more so when I went into the pizza world. It became one of those things that I was like, I have to start finding women and also diversity. Because I also found that it was mostly white men that were continuing to be listed on the top list. A lot of them Italian or Italian American, and again, like not women, and a lot of times not even a lot of cities outside of New York, like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, like places that I lived, but not like even California, and so it became kind of this like jewel to try and uncover every time I started looking at lists.
Cool.
And it became harder and harder. And it was even more crazy to me when I would ask all these people that had big names about women in the pizza industry. And sometimes they would say someone that worked for them. But most of the time they couldn't tell me another woman that was an entrepreneur or owned their own pizza place. Especially early on, like it was very rare for me for anyone that I talked to say like, oh, this person. So again, I was like, huh. And so when we were working on Modernist Pizza, I found Sarah Menick at Lovely's 50/50,
Portland, Oregon,
and also Anna Kim in Minneapolis, and they were kind of the two women that I knew of, and that were getting some credit or some like media. Laura, obviously I knew Laura from Tony, and I went to International School of Pizza, so I worked with Laura during that training time, and I knew Georgia. Georgia was actually the first woman, Georgia Crucio, that I met. And the reason why I met was because her father,
Roberto,
actually pushed her in front of, basically pushed her in front of me. It was like, Roberto was like, you have to have pizza for my daughter. And she had just won the Trofeo the year before. And he was like, she won the Trofeo, like, you have to try her pizza, or our pizza. My daughter's going to make it.
Is that the competition in Parma?
In Naples.
Naples, sorry. Okay.
She was the youngest winner of the Trofeo Cup in the, I don't remember which, it's the competition of the Neapolitan pizza, basically. I can't remember what it's, Classica, Pizza Classica. Youngest. And so he was saying, like, but it was like off the cup, like she was literally like in the back making these pizzas. And she was at Pizza Expo. Oh. And that was the first time I met, she was the very first woman that I met. And she was so young, and I just watched her. Like I was watching her press out the dough, and I was watching her make the pizza, and she was very unassuming, like made this beautiful pizza. It was amazing. I still think about it to this day. I tell Georgia. But I was like, wow, like watching a woman make a pizza was so different than all these other men that I've watched over and over and over again.
Well, it's different.
It didn't quite click at that time until like later. Softness, like really like pressing out the dough with her hands, like just watching the work. Because I watched so many men pound the shit out of dough. or like, you know, stretch it to like, I was like, what, you know, like it was just like this like dance really of like putting the, like, it was beautiful. So she made this amazing dough, amazing pizza. And then I met Laura later. And then when we were getting ready to launch Modernist Pizza, it was during COVID. And so the book was coming out in October. And we were supposed to go back to California in April, and obviously that didn't happen, the year of COVID, to go and visit more women-owned pizzerias, including going back to Tony's, which I'd been a few times. So when we were launching the book, one of the things that I really wanted to do, and there were other people that we wanted to meet with in a few other places too, that we just never had a chance to because everything shut down. So when we launched the book, I had talked about doing a panel of women in pizza. And so we just did women that were, it was Laura I interviewed first. So Laura actually was a contributor for Modernist Pizza. She was a peer reviewer for a bunch of the chapters that were the technique chapters, because I had gone to 2 of the classes for International Pizza School, and Laura was an amazing instructor that I really wanted to get her insight on things that she found that people were continuously asking questions about, tips and tricks. Like, she did an amazing job as a reviewer, and I'm very grateful for her. And so I had her review. So I wanted to start bringing women in, even though we knew we couldn't go visit. So we created a panel. Laura I interviewed and talked about her time. It was before she announced that she was doing Pizzeria de Laura. And then also Nicole Bean, Georgia Crucio, Nicole Russell, and Shaylin. And they were, at that time, the ambassadors for women in pizza at the very beginning.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so that's how I kind of like got into it, was like I really wanted to just keep more women involved.
This is in 2021?
This is in 2021.
I remember that.
So I did the panel, and then after the panel, I reached out to Alexandra Mortati, who's the founder of Women in Pizza, and he said, you know, I don't want to stop here. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I would love to do more IG Lives. And on your platform, like, she was starting to build Women in Pizza as an IG. And I was like, I'd love to, the panel was in Modernist Cuisine. I was like, I would love to do something on your platform and, like, do more women that we meet while we're out and about. And like, she had a list of people, I had a few people, talked to, like, you know, the Nicole's and Laura, and we just started building out these lists. And then it was like, wow, there's like so many amazing women all over the US, and then eventually all over the country we started branching out to. We basically, because of the holidays, I did spin-offs of the panel women through the end of the year. And then we started back up before Expo. And we're almost 70 episodes now.
Wow.
Since then.
That's deep.
And we have a woman on Wednesday from Thailand. So
Fun.
it's just, yeah, it's just
Leopard
amazing.
crust.
Leopard crust, exactly, Feng Chen. So, I mean, I didn't realize then what I would be doing now, but I love it. Like, it's my Wednesday. Like, every Wednesday, I am so excited to talk to whoever it is, just to share their story, and to also let other women know that, like, hey, this person's doing this, like, creating that pathway of communication for other women to see and hear and feel like they're being appreciated through these other people too. It's been huge.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, that has been, like, I'd say from my journey, like, that's meant the most to me. And still does.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last word. That's from
And
your journey. That's from.
It's meant the most to me.
Yeah.
And it still does.
I feel like your contributions in that space definitely matches, in my eyes, Modernist Pizza. If not, you know, this whole Women in Pizza movement is definitely so much farther along because of you, because
Thank
of your
you.
efforts, because of your commitment to these, like on the dot, like every month we got episodes, right? And you're, again, going back to that core of like finding women that interest you, but also like showing the diversity in pizza. And so I really want to thank you for that work and uplifting and sharing the stories that wouldn't be heard otherwise, right?
Yeah, I feel really fortunate that Alexandra, I mean, she's like a sister to me, pizza sister, and I feel very lucky to just have been able to hit it off right away with Alexandra and like kind of talk through her vision, but then also find a way to incorporate myself into, you know, hosting these amazing episodes. I feel really lucky.
You seem to work with a couple of visionaries right here. Got Nathan, Alexandra, just, you know, pick random, like off the cuff question, but like, what's your vision for yourself?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's constantly evolving and changing and innovating myself. You know, like I love just the travel and the unknown of what I'm going to find whether it's an interview and finding someone's new story, or like now we're doing pastry and it's finding these pastries I didn't know exist in different countries, or the combinations of flavors that are so interesting and dynamic, just like pizza. I think that's like really my favorite. And, you know, community. If there's a community that like slice out hunger, you know, anything that is really tackling issues that I feel like are necessary for people to know more about, whether it's women, diversity, hunger, you know, all of those things. I feel like that's my path now. It's like just making sure that I can do the most I can at the end of the day.
You are really about that. You're not just speaking, because like every Slice Out Hunger event, every pizza festival, I see you and your husband there supporting, rocking it out, having a blast, showing up tatted and dressed out in pizza. It's tight. It is tight. So,
well, and I feel very fortunate to be part of it. You know, it's not peripheral. Like it's a love. Like I truly love everyone that I get to work with, and feel so lucky to call them friends and love what they do. You know, love having their pizzas, love going to visit them for the first time and getting to experience their space, and like having them serve me their pizza for the first time, even though I might have like talked to them like a year before.
Right.
Like I just saw Audrey Jane. I was in Boulder, Colorado,
nice,
a couple weeks ago, and I'd never been to Audrey Jane's. I'd never been to Melinda's Simply Pizza. I'd never been to Melissa Rickman's Holy Stromboli, and I went to all three in like a 48-hour period.
That's really cool.
And it was so awesome to me because it was like, I don't know, I never would have thought I'd be in Denver 10 years ago, hooking up with amazing women that were running their own businesses in totally different ways, but doing it like spot on and individually exactly what they want to do. So cool.
Again, how do I get this job? As we sort of wrap up here, please shed some light on us about Modernist Pastry. When can we expect it? We'll start with that. When can we expect it?
We don't know.
We don't know. Oh,
so we're in the very early research phase. So research takes time. R&D takes time. We develop all of our recipes. It's going to be a big book, just like all of our other ones. So, and pastry's huge. Like pizza, I mean, we can talk about pizza styles forever.
Yeah.
But like pastry, if you go to 5 different bakeries, that's what I tell people, is like, go to 5 different bakeries, look at the pastry case, and all of them are going to be different.
Yeah. Gosh.
And they all might have different flavors, not on top of all the different types of things that they offer in their pastry case. And we're going to wrap our arms around all of that.
Sheesh.
So, still in the dough world. So yeah, it'll be a while, but
Stay
don't
tuned.
worry, you'll know.
Okay. Curious to know, is pizza really the community to be in compared to all other food communities that you've seen? I ask you this because I imagine with all of your research, you've dabbled into like different industries, not just bread, not just pastry. But I bet you've seen some things. Is pizza really as tight-knit as people say it is?
Yes.
Or are we just in our own echo chamber?
No, I feel like the pizza community is so warm and welcoming to a new pizza maker, a home pizza maker, someone that's been in the industry for decades. It's all encompassing. People from a mobile, people with an uni or a gozni, or a gozni, like all of that. Like they're all part of the pizza community, and there's no like negativity between like, oh, you do that versus I do that. Like it's everyone together in a big way.
You're gonna have to tell me when the pastry book is done if all of the croissant community is, really cool with each other or not.
I'd say like the bakery community is different, and like the bread community, I definitely did not find as open. In some ways, different places, yes, but for the most part, no. As much as the pizza community and sharing their knowledge.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the pastry side it's changed. Like just like pizza. Like pizza used to be very closed, and people weren't sharing. And it was very much like, I'm against you, you're against me. But that's changed a lot. And I see that in other worlds too, like bread and pastry too. Is like, there is a change. People are like coming into it without all of the pretentiousness of the past and really trying to be, change the dynamic.
Inclusive.
Yeah.
Pastry includes anything that has...
So we're dealing with everything that has flour. So we're continuing the carb world. Has to be flour based because pastry is huge.
Right.
So if it doesn't have flour in it, we're not covering it.
So would a croissant fall in pastry?
Yes, lamination.
Lamination.
So croissant, phyllo, Danish, all of that. Then you get into cakes, cookies.
You better have a lot of steps in you. All right. This is
I definitely am going to be
exercise a lot.
A lot of exercise, a lot of gym time.
You're in great shape, but
I can't have too many cookies.
Okay. You've been so gracious with your time.
Thank you, Roger. This was awesome.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you so much. Final question for you. There's no right or wrong answer. What's good dough?
Oh, what's good dough? Good dough is when I walk away and that's all I can think about.
I'm telling you, go to Livermore, corner slice.
I'm going to.
Corner slice.
It's on my, I was like, oh my God, Livermore. I was like, no way, you were not in just Livermore. I was like, I got to get back to Livermore and check it out. Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, there you have it.